to host the Bicentennial of Lafayette's farewell tour. I want to acknowledge all of our trustees who have worked very hard, but in particular, the two co-chair women, Wendy Harrington and Karen Sabatini. This particular program has been in the planning stages for over a year, and everyone has worked so hard in orchestrating this event. So we welcome you here. We want you to embrace it all and think of it in years to come with only positive memories. I would also like to acknowledge two other trustees. Actually, I've already done that. Sorry. I want to recognize the New Hampshire Sons of the American Revolution and Commander Curtis Herman, 18th Dover Colonial Militia. Also, of the American Friends of Lafayette, their president, Alan R. Hoffman, and Dorothea Jensen, representing the Lafayette Trail. They are all here, and we encourage you to just enjoy, continue to drink your tea, and embrace the moment. All right? Thank you.
Bonjour, mes amis. Can you hear me back there? Yeah. Like this? Yes. Wave your hand if you can hear me in the back. Woohoo! Bonjour, mes amis means welcome, my friends. What a grand day for Hampton Falls as we welcome Marie-Joseph Paul-Yves Roche Gilbert Dumontier. Got that? Marquis de Lafayette, Major General Lafayette of the Continental Army of America, to our town common as he did 200 years ago. Aren't we proud to be a stop on the 24-state Lafayette Bicentennial Farewell Tour? Woo! Yes, we need to practice some cheering because, you know, as he comes around, we're going to be doing some cheering. We thank you for participating, and I'm going to give you some instructions so you can fully take part in this morning's event. You will hear from two speakers next who will give you some background into Lafayette and the historic significance of his farewell tour that we are reenacting today. You will then be asked to take your flags and handkerchiefs and go to two sides of the common to wave them and welcome as he arrives in his carriage. The sides of the common are Lafayette Road, how appropriate, and then this side over here by the Baptist Church. The carriage will be coming north, because on that day he came from Newburyport, so he'll be coming north around here, and he's going to stop over here where he will muster with the militia. Then he will make a grand entrance here and up to the podium. It will be polite to stand as they come through. So when he's riding through with the carriage, we need everybody to really welcome him strongly. So one thing you can do, of course, is wave your flags, wave your hankies, wave anything you've got, and you need to shout. And you can either say, "Welcome Lafayette," or in French you can say, "Vive Lafayette," not "Viva." Vive Lafayette. All right, so let's practice. We're going with, you can answer me. I'll start with, "Welcome Lafayette."
Welcome Lafayette.
Well, you were good. All right, let's try Vive Lafayette.
Vive Lafayette.
You don't need even to do it another time. That was excellent. So you're on your own. Just shout as he comes around. Okay? Très bon. Now, after he arrives, you want to come back up here because we have more program for you. Lafayette will actually be greeted over here by New Hampshire's own Major General John Stark and his wife Molly Stark. So New Hampshire has their own Major General from the Revolutionary War. And there he stands right there. That's right. Lafayette will be given full military escort from the carriage as I described. And he will address the citizenry up here at the mic. Our morning will conclude with a musket salute by the Sons of the American Revolution and a firing of the cannon in the field. And we ask that you follow the safety directions that'll be provided back there to watch it from a distance. I think there's a 30 feet distance we need from the camera. And you can do this. And I think that's all my instructions. So thank you again for coming. Merci d'être venu aujourd'hui. And vive Lafayette.
Thank you,
I will. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm not doing that well. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. As a member of the Board of Selectmen presently, I'd like to welcome you all here this morning. We continue the tradition of honoring the past here in Hampton Falls today. We welcome the 200th anniversary of the Marquis de Lafayette's tour of the American colonies in the seacoast of New Hampshire with an historical marker here on the Common. The Board of Selectmen thanks all who have made such a tribute to our town's history. The Marquis will surely note what a thriving and industrious town full of business in Hampton Falls and the way that town has become and grown. Let's go back to the time. I would like to give everyone a few short looks back at the 19th century here in Hampton Falls in and around the time of Lafayette's visit. Hampton Falls offers a variety of businesses from fulling mills down here at Dodge's, farming of the land which took place both here in what became a 19th century milk. I think there were 5 or 6 farms that were dairies later in the century, as well as marsh farming, which was very important in colonial days, and included a significant amount of blacksmithing, which wasn't done as a business but was done locally by people here on their own property, because horses were the most important way of transporting all goods and all human beings. Hampton Falls was probably the most industrious town in the 18th century north of Boston. Now, a lot of people are surprised by that, but the reason for that were the 3 major mills that were on the river here, which is now connected to Dodge's Pond. They actually created the water power that drove the growth of business. Everyone here, including the Marquis, should note how organized and controlled the town is, since in 1817 we passed a law preventing cattle, livestock, and other farm animals from running throughout the town and over the roadways. We still have a tradition here in town called the Hog Reavers, which is announced at each and every town meeting, and somebody gets the honor of making sure that all hogs are put in their proper place. We've taken on the building of roads in town here, so as to make the journey to Exeter and Hampton a much more desirable trip for all who wish to travel. We have confidence that the Marquis' trip, although stopping here, will be without incident as he moves forward. Paul Revere made his way through Hampton Falls, as did 2 former presidents, Washington and Monroe. Both have traveled this road before you. So the success of traveling from here northward should be very high. The Eastern Stage Company, which was created in the 19th century as a formal company, had its first staging area in town, just off the Common here, and that's where they exchanged all their horses for the trips into what was next Newburyport, Ipswich, and then Boston. The stages brought two types of scenarios. We had a post office here very early, and they picked up the mail that would take approximately 2 days to get to Boston. And the stages brought both human beings back and forth who were conducting business and involved in other endeavors, and they also took large amounts of mail and materials. The trip was long, uncomfortable, and took several hours each way. Hampton Falls became a comfort stop for many who made that trip north of here or south of here going north. The mill's at Dodge Pond, and it's called Dodge Pond now, but some people will look on a map and they'll see Whittier Pond listed there. And the reason for that is because long after the Marquis came here, John Greenleaf Whittier wrote many of the stories that he wrote, many of the poems he wrote were about events between here and Haverhill, Massachusetts. He summered here at Elmfield, took most of his meals at a place called the Wells Tavern, in which the Wells Tavern was known as the most important lodging place north of Boston, all the way to Portsmouth and Portland. The mills at Dodge Pond were very productive. They employed, at the time that the Marquis came here, large amounts of workers locally who traveled in to Hampton Falls, today a bedroom community, at that time a destination for work. The Marquis will note that upwards of 80 men, some who may have served directly with him in the war for independence, were residents of Hampton Falls. We sent 80 people to the Revolutionary War here. Their names are listed in Brown's history. You can look and see some of the more famous names of that period. The town honors both their service along with yours, and will never forget all that sacrificed for the war for independence. We know the Marquis has many stops ahead. There are many stops ahead even today. But we would surely be proud to have you stay at the Wells Tavern, which is considered the greatest lodging from Boston to Portland. Welcome to Hampton Falls. Again, Patriot Lafayette. Bon voyage.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the president of the American Friends of Lafayette, Alan Hoffman.
Well, the last couple of days I've had to learn how to use a number of microphones. So it'll probably take me a moment until I get used to this one. But if you're not hearing me, please let me know. So, boy, are we blessed.
Not hearing you.
The weather. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
What I started to say, or what I did say but you couldn't hear me, is that in the last several days I've had to get used to using several different types of microphones, so I apologize if I screw it up. But today we are blessed with the weather. All week we've been obsessing about the problematic predictions of the weather, but I think God is smiling on us today through this wonderful celebration. I want to talk to you just for a few minutes about how New Hampshire has honored Lafayette over the years. And of course, today we are celebrating the Bicentennial of Lafayette's 1824 visits to New Hampshire. And this is the first town that he came to, and he was met here by the Committee of Arrangements, they used to call the Planning Committee of Portsmouth. Visit to New Hampshire was an emotional one for both Lafayette and the people of New Hampshire. There were numerous veterans here to greet him, including some who served with him and under him in the American Revolution. General Benjamin Pierce was one. He dissed his son Franklin, our New Hampshire president. He dissed his son Franklin's college graduation at Bowdoin and his valedictory address in Latin to come see General Lafayette. One veteran by the name of Thomas Hardin was recognized by Lafayette. He claimed that he was the one to carry Lafayette off the field at Brandywine. interestingly, there were during a farewell tour, about 10 or 15 veterans claimed to be the one to carry Lafayette off of Brandywine, and Lafayette never contradicted them. A day after the ball in Portsmouth, Lucy Penhallow, who was a local, wrote to her aunt about her experience meeting Lafayette at a ball. While the memory was still fresh in her mind, she said, and I quote, "Being able to thank Lafayette personally for his service in America made me feel 10 times more of an American than I did before," and he had that effect. During the farewell tour, New Hampshire residents in Franconia honored Lafayette by naming their mountain after him, Mount Lafayette. When he was at the State House on June 22nd and June 27th, after he left, an elm tree was planted in his honor. It became the Lafayette elm. It survived until the 1950s, when unfortunately it succumbed to Dutch elm disease. In the 50s, New Hampshire honored Lafayette by declaring, the legislature passed a statute declaring May 20th, the date of Lafayette's death, the anniversary of his death, New Hampshire Lafayette Day, and requiring the governor at each anniversary to issue a proclamation for that. In 2019, the New Hampshire legislature approved the Lafayette Trail, and that marker that's going up today is evidence of that. There are 15 Lafayette Trail markers in New Hampshire, this being in 2010, I'm going backwards here. In 2010, an effort was made to restore and replant a Lafayette elm. It failed on several occasions, but then finally, more recently, one took hold, and there is a Lafayette elm now where it was in 1825 to the right of the State House entrance. Now, there's one other interesting fact that I'd like to tell you about. In 1825 at the State House, there was a banquet of 700 people on the State House lawn. There was a dais where Lafayette sat, and then there were 3 long tables set up. On the left were 200 Revolutionary War veterans. During that event, there were 35 toasts drunk, so the wine was flowing freely. But what's important about that event is that Colonel Carrigan, who is a famous map maker, he made the official map of New Hampshire. He wrote a poem that was sung, and the first stanza of that poem reads, "North and south and east and west, grateful homage have expressed, greeting loud the nation's guest," that was Lafayette's nickname, "son of liberty, whom tyrants cursed when heaven approved, and millions long have mourned and loved. He comes by fond entreaties moved, the granite state to see." The granite state to see. That is the first recorded use of the term granite state as a nickname for our wonderful state. And it was done or sung when Lafayette was here in 1825 in New Hampshire. I'd like to close with the last stanzas of that song poem, which I find very. You have to picture 200 veterans in the American Revolution sitting in front of the singer. "Soldiers, your general ever true, the last that's left here visits you. Though you are poor, he bends to you, not kings or thrones. Oh, who can tears of joy control when veterans mingle soul with soul, and one more ray when near life's goal brightens their setting suns? He's fit for traitor or for slave, who'd see this parting of the brave and not think of those who bled to save. the land where we have met. Fair Merrimack may cease to flow, and our white mountains sink below, but naught can cancel what we owe to them and Lafayette. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Before we welcome Lafayette, I want to invite you, when the event is over, to come back here on the bandstand. We have some beautiful display panels with history from the American Friends of Lafayette, so you might want to peruse those later. But now, it is time to get up and get in place to welcome Lafayette.
Apparently I can grab these, I have nothing else to make.
Soldiers, thank you for your escort. Carry arms. Madame. Please, enchanté, madame. Forward. Forward. Out of the way. Merci, madame. Bonjour. Merci, madame. Bonjour. I thank you all from the bottom of my most anciently affectionate heart for the warm welcome that I have received here from the patriotic citizens of New Hampshire. Merci beaucoup. Merci. I will endeavor to make myself heard with this vocal amplification device, perhaps an unknown invention of the Dr. Franklin. If you say so, monsieur. It is indeed a pleasure to be among the patriotic citizens of New Hampshire and to visit you so early on my return to the shores of liberty. My obligations to the United States far outweigh any merit that I might plausibly claim. They date from a time when I had the good fortune to be adopted as a young soldier, as a favored son of your country. And they have been continued to me over many decades of affections and confidence. And now, thanks to the gratifying invitation of your President, Monsieur Monroe, I am greeted with a series of welcomes, each one of which would be more than enough to compensate for the exertions of an entire life of service. And so I thank you once again from the bottom of my heart. It brings to mind the days of that young soldier when I first decided to come to America. And if I may divert myself for a moment, I wish to recall for you those early days of my service here in the cause of American independence. But my journey to this place begins in the summer of 1775, when I was 17 years old, serving in the French cavalry in the eastern city of Metz in France, when news arrived in the capitals of Europe for the very first time that a group of insurgents, as they were known, had taken up arms against the soldiers of the King of Great Britain in two towns outside of Boston, Concord and Lexington, as well as news that a Congress of Colonial Americans meeting in Philadelphia had selected a gentleman from the Southern Territory of Virginia, George Washington, to lead a Continental American army. And upon hearing this news, my heart was enlisted immediately. I was 17 years old, very far from my home in Paris, from my family in Auvergne. I found military life excruciatingly dull and boring. I felt that if I was to earn glory for the family name of Lafayette on the field of battle, it would need to be where all of the exciting battles were being fought, and that meant coming here to America. But whatever my motivations to leave France, it did not take long for me to understand your quest for liberty within the very fiber of my being. I swore an oath to conquer or die for America, and the days that I have spent fighting for her I shall count among the happiest of my entire life. Of course, when I reached Philadelphia and presented my letters of recommendation to Congress, they did not know what to do with me. Who is this young soldier who claims to be a marquis, who has a letter of recommendation from Dr. Benjamin Franklin? I stood before the Congress as I stand before you now, and said that I had earned the right to two favors only. The first is to serve your cause. The second was to do so at my own expense as a volunteer. And upon hearing that I would be of no expense to them, Congress suddenly became much more interested in me. Perhaps Congress is a bit less preoccupied with money in your time, though I fear not. But even then, they made me a major general in the Continental American Army, but gave me no troops to command, and assigned me to perform the duties of an aide-de-camp in the headquarters of General Washington. And I began to ask myself why it was I had traveled all this way to America. But shortly after receiving my commission, I was invited to dine with members of the Congress at a dinner where the guest of honor was to be His Excellency General Washington himself. The general must have considered me nothing more than a young puppy dog who had wandered in off the street, but if these were his sentiments, he did not voice them. Instead, he was very kind to me. He spoke to me very kindly and complimented me on the service and sacrifice that I had rendered in support of the American cause, and told me it would please him if I called the quarters of the Commander-in-Chief my home and considered myself a part of his family. And this word, it struck out to me like a sort of bolt, family. Because in French there is a very similar word, the word famille, but it refers primarily to relations of the blood, you see. I was to learn shortly thereafter that His Excellency was referring to his military family, to the officers under his command who staffed his headquarters. But for a moment, I believed it was His Excellency's intention to adopt me as his son, right there on the spot. Being 19 years old, I did not know what else to say. I readily accepted. In time, of course, His Excellency has become to me as much a father as I have ever known. And the men I served alongside, and the many men who died in the service of our great and glorious cause, I consider equally to be my family. Mes amis, the approbations of the American people for my conduct in our war of independence and for the vicissitudes of the European revolutions that follows is for me the highest reward I could ever hope to receive. Well may I stand firm and proud when in their name and in your names I can be said to have remained ever faithful to those American principles of liberty, equality, and true social order, the devotion to which, as it has been since my earliest youth, so shall it be until my latest breath, and I shall endeavor at all times to be worthy of the American education it has been my happy lot to receive. Merci à vous tous. Je vous souhaite une très agréable continuation de votre journée. I wish you all a very pleasant continuation of your day. Merci beaucoup aux citoyens de la nouvelle.
I would like now to introduce Dorothea Jensen, who will dedicate our new Lafayette trail marker. Since it is located way down there near Lafayette Road, we're going to dedicate it here, and then please be sure you walk down and see the actual marker. So, Dorothea Jensen. Well, that may be the hardest act I've ever had to follow. And I'd like to say good morning to everyone and welcome to this event, which only takes place every 200 years. The Lafayette Trail is dedicated to putting up markers in all 25 states that Lafayette visited. It was 24 when he visited them, but then West Virginia broke off during the Civil War, so now it's 25. It was founded by a young Frenchman, Julien Ichet, and with the help of the American Friends of Lafayette, whose president just spoke to you. It receives significant support from the Pomeroy Foundation, which vets the contemporaneous evidence for stops made by the general, and it pays for the actual markers. So I would like to tell you that we have now officially installed 150 markers. And moreover, that New Hampshire has 15 of them. So that's 10%, and there's 23 other states. But so we've done very well, and I have to say that from the very beginning, New Hampshire has been enthusiastic and supportive of this project. For a while, we had more than anybody else, but of course, New York caught up with us. At the unveiling of every marker, the Pomeroy Foundation asks that this letter be read, which is what I'm doing today. This is from William Pomeroy, the founder and the trustee. Congratulations from all of us at the William Pomeroy Foundation on the dedication of your Lafayette Trail marker. We send our warm greetings from Syracuse, New York, as you commemorate the legacy of Revolutionary War hero General Lafayette and the bicentennial of his visit to Hampton Falls. We wish we could be there. At the Pomeroy Foundation, one of our main initiatives is to help people celebrate their community's history by offering grants for historical markers and other historical projects. How did our mission come about? Well, I have been passionate about history since my childhood, with fond memories of riding in the car with my father and stopping to read every historical marker that we passed. The Bicentennial of the Farewell Tour is underway, and we have committed to funding up to 175 markers, now including one specifically recognizing the General's service to the American Revolution. Thank you to Lafayette Trail founder, President Julien Ichet, the Hampton Falls Hysterical Society. Calm down. Hampton Falls community and all those who were involved in this project. Okay, so that's the letter. Now I would like to invite General Lafayette himself, sort of, to help me unveil the facsimile of the Hampton Falls historical marker on this occasion. I think this is the first time Lafayette himself has unveiled a marker, and certainly is the first time he's unveiled a facsimile of a marker. So, with that said, let us proceed to do so. It says, Lafayette's tour. On September 1st, 1824, General Lafayette was welcomed in Hampton Falls, where he was introduced to the Portsmouth Committee of Arrangements. I think there still is a Committee of Arrangements, and they've done a lot of arranging for this one. The William C. Pomeroy Foundation 2024, sign number 127. Thank you, Dorothea. I'd now like to introduce Susan Forcelli, who is going to explain, I think, what she's going to do in honor of General Lafayette.
Good morning, everyone. I am New Hampshire State Representative Susan Forcelli, and I am honored to read this official proclamation. The State of New Hampshire, Christopher T. Sununu, Governor, a proclamation in the year of our Lord 2024, proclaiming Lafayette Day in Hampton Falls, September 1st, 2024. Whereas the farewell tour of General Marquis de Lafayette, a momentous event in American history, took place from August 1824 to September 1825, during which Lafayette, the last surviving major general of the American Revolutionary War, visited all 24 states of the Union over a period of 13 months. And whereas General Lafayette's tour was a significant occasion that stirred the fervent desire among the American people to express their profound gratitude and admiration for his contributions to the American Revolution and his enduring friendship with the United States. And whereas Lafayette's visit to the United States was a significant occasion as a testament to the enduring friendship between the United States and France, and serves as a celebration of the democratic ideals that Lafayette championed and viewed as a model for the world. And whereas the farewell tour left an indelible mark on America, with numerous places, towns, parks, and streets being named in his honor, thereby cementing his legacy in the annals of American history. And whereas on September 1st, 1824, General Lafayette departed from Massachusetts and traveled to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, making a notable stop in Hampton Falls, where he was warmly received by the Committee of Arrangements and accompanied to Portsmouth for a grand celebration. And whereas on the morning of September 1st, 1824, Lafayette visited the Governor Warehouse for morning tea and greeted the adoring public on the Common, thereby fostering a spirit of unity and celebration among the citizens. Now, therefore, Christopher T. Sununu, Governor of the State of New Hampshire, do hereby proclaim September 1st, 2024 as Lafayette Day in Hampton Falls on the 200th anniversary of the historic visit of General Marquis de Lafayette to Hampton Falls, and to invite all citizens to join in commemorating this occasion and celebrating the enduring legacy of the General Marquis de Lafayette. Signed, Christopher T. Sununu, Governor.
Merci. can only hope to be worthy of the kind words and the feelings of kindness that you have evinced towards me. I am simply at a loss for words. Merci beaucoup, mes amis.
Your book? Yes. And then we elaborated. They both have intentions of doing a Lafayette discussion or in New York City. They'll be 4th and 5th. So it's perfect. Yeah. They go to First Man and so yeah, they're very excited about it. How they had to.
That was a good load. That was a good load.
You're fine. Hello again.
Just doing a little video. They decided to alternate. That's an awesome idea. Sorry.
Cartridge.